for the 2009 R.R. Hawkins Award. The finalists for the 2009 R.R. Hawkins Award are the University of Chicago Press, Plato's Philosophers, The Coherence of the Dialogues. Academic Press, Elsevier, Neuroeconomics, Decision-Making and the Brain. John Wiley & Sons, Therapeutic Monoclonal Antibodies from Bench to Clinic. McGraw-Hill, Dermatology for Skin of Color. John Wiley & Sons, Wiley Interdisciplinary Reviews, Wires. These are our 5. Now, with the privilege of the chair, I'm going to, before we open this award, I'm going to tell you that there was very spirited debate among the judges as to which of these 5 should win. And when I say very spirited, may I say very spirited, okay? We have 2 winners. And so this is not unprecedented. We actually do have a historian that went back and said there have been double winners in the past. We have 2 winners today. And so Dan is going to read them both. He'll read the first and then the second. We're going to hear from each of the winners. And so upon reading this first one, we're going to hear briefly from a representative of the publisher, and then the same thing in the second. So.
Okay. The first of the 2 R.R. Hawkins Awards goes to the University of Chicago Press, Plato's Philosophers, The Coherence of the Dialogues. Accepting the R.R. Hawkins Award for the University of Chicago Press, please welcome Garrett Keeley.
Garrett Kiley, University of Chicago Press. Take it away, Garrett.
Thank you, Mr. Hawkins, and thank you, John. And I want to thank the guests, the editors this year. As we know, a lot went into this, and if you look at the range of books that made the finalists, it's kind of amazing that Plato's Philosophers made it. But I'm honored to accept the R.R. Hawkins Award this year for all the women and men at the University of Chicago Press. Every year I'm struck by the stunning array and range of works that are recognized by the PROSE Awards, and especially by the Hawkins Award. That Plato's Philosophers was chosen as an outstanding scholarly work across the arts and sciences this year is an honor and something of a mystery. How does one begin to decide among such distinguished works in such diverse fields? However it's done, we're pleased with the outcome, obviously. From our perspective at Chicago, we knew that Plato's Philosophers would be monumental from the moment its 1,000+ manuscript pages arrived on the editor's desk. Its size reflected its ambition to offer a totally original framework for understanding the Platonic corpus as a whole, that not only makes sense of the seemingly contradictory arguments of the individual dialogues, but also of how the dialogues, taken together, form a consistent philosophic vision. Catherine Zuckert treats each of the 35 dialogues as prose dramas in which characters, plots, and settings are as important as ideas, and by placing the dialogues in their dramatic chronological order rather than the order of their composition, she reveals, really for the first time, the dramatic arc that makes the dialogues cohere. In what many have thought of as an unconnected dialogues, Zuckert brilliantly traces the rise and development of Socratic philosophy and ultimately its superiority to the alternative positions offered by the other philosophers in the dialogues. In the coming years, we expect this work to be praised and criticized, but we know for a fact that it won't be ignored. While one is always suspicious of using the term magisterial to describe a book, in the present case, if you had an opportunity to look at it, it is totally apt in terms of both its scope, its execution, and its sheer philosophical ambition. Like most books worthy of this adjective, it took no little time to bring to fruition. The author recalls in her acknowledgments that one of her colleagues at a conference said, "No one takes 12 years to write a book anymore." That is precisely how long this book took to write. If it takes a village to raise a child, it is no less true that it takes a different kind of village today to write and publish a scholarly book on this scale. Catherine Zuckert is indebted to a host of individuals for sharpening and developing our ideas, but no fewer than 6 institutions in the scholarly community, both universities and societies, for providing her with the financial support necessary to pursue a project of this magnitude. Catherine has been publishing with the University of Chicago Press since 1996, and she has the great honor of working with one of the finest editors in the field, John Terneski, for all 3 books. When John received her latest manuscript, he had no idea that when, over the years, she referred to it as her big book on Plato, she meant that both figuratively and literally. It is to John's credit that he realized that Professor Zuckert was trying to accomplish something major and gave her the room to do so. Just as our authors depend upon the support of the scholarly community to write their books, so too has the changing marketplace led university presses to increasingly rely on the help of that community to publish them. We certainly would have published Plato's Philosophers in any event, but it was the generous support of the authors' institution, University of Notre Dame, which enabled us to give it the treatment it deserved, as well as a price that would enable it to be bought and read by individual readers. Disseminating scholarship of the highest standard to the widest possible audience is central to the mission of the University of Chicago Press. We know that this is true for all members of the scholarly community, authors, university, and presses. As the economic climate continues to be uncertain, the kind of collaboration that made Plato's Philosophers possible will become more and more crucial for us to fulfill our common mission and to flourish. Thank you again for this honor.
Okay. We have one more award to give. So I'll call Dan Hawkins back.